Ghosting is a dating phenomenon where, let's say you've been dating someone for a while or you've gone on a few dates with them and they just suddenly disappear on you. You don't hear from them again. Suddenly they're just poof, gone out of your life. Hey guys, Miss Singlefied here, answering guys' dating questions from a woman's perspective. I just came back from my epic vacation to Norway, Iceland, and the Netherlands. If you stay tuned until the end of this video, I'll show you some of the highlights of what I saw on my vacation. And I have another announcement that I'm excited about. So for years now, you guys have had two ways to have access to my dating advice. One is through one-on-one sessions via Skype or FaceTime or in person, and two is through asking me general dating questions on this YouTube page. Well, I realized that a lot of you have very specific personal questions that didn't fit either category. Some of your questions are very timely, where you need the answer right away, and some of your questions are just so private and specific that it's not suitable for a public forum like YouTube. Well, guess what? Now you're able to ask me one-off dating related questions through Fiverr.com. And with Fiverr, you can get as personal and as detailed as you want, and I can give you a response back relatively quickly. So yay. Boom, time for our question. This one comes from Edwin, who says, "Dear Miss Singlefied, I'm sick of being ghosted out by girls, and it seems to be happening more frequently. Can you explain why this happens and how I can make sure it doesn't happen again?" Now, ghosting is not a recent phenomenon. It's been happening for years, but because of social media, technology, texting, it just makes it easier for people to ghost out on other people. But anyway, I will talk about the top 3 reasons why people ghost out, and then I will give you some pointers on how to potentially avoid ghosting in the future. Reason number 1 why people ghost on someone they're dating is because they're lazy. They've lost interest in you, but they don't want to make the effort of explaining why that happened. So it's just much easier to ignore you. Reason number 2 why people ghost is because they don't have balls. They're literally afraid of confrontation. They have a fear of explaining their feelings, and they have a fear of hearing how you feel. So it's just much easier to do this. Reason number 3 why people ghost is because there's some sort of complicated external factor that they don't want to explain to you. An example would be their parents don't approve, or an ex has come back into the picture, or there's some sort of serious medical issues that they're going through. So I guess reason number 3 also sort of relates to the laziness factor and the fear factor. Now I've explained those 3 reasons to you, it really doesn't matter, because the underlining reason of ghosting is that they're no longer interested, whether for personal reasons or due to external factors. Now, how can you prevent ghosting from happening to you again in the future? And this totally comes from communication on your first date or your first meeting. People try so hard on a first date or a first meeting to make a good first impression, to try to sell themselves. But that's all nice. But there are certain things you need to get to on a first date so you save yourself the time and heartache in the future. And that is, you should be talking about some of your deal breakers. So yeah, on a first date or first meeting, you might be talking about your background, your family, but you should also be talking about what you like and dislike in friendships and relationships. Everybody has their preferred method of being supported and loved. And it's really important to get this across on a first meeting when you're really getting to know each other, just so you guys are on the same page. One way to broach the subject is to, talk about your friends. Be like, "Oh, tell me about your best friend," and I'll tell you about my best friend and some of my closest friends. And when you talk about friendship, that's when you can start talking about some of the things that you really admire about your friends, like the way they treat you. I really like my friend Billy because he really makes an effort to get to know my other friends and also my family. So that makes me feel like he's really invested in me. And from there, you could talk about some of the friends that you may have been disappointed by throughout the years. My friend Steven, we were really close back in the day, and all of a sudden, he just stopped returning my phone calls, stopped returning my email. It's like he just disappeared on me without any explanation. And I think even if we weren't that close of friends, he still should have had enough respect for me to tell me what was going on. Okay? And then you want to make a very definitive statement like, you know, I'm a pretty tolerant person, but that kind of behavior is unacceptable to me. I really value everyone who comes into my life, so I really hope they feel the same way about me. And you know, that goes for dating as well. And if things don't pan out, let's say romantically, I hope that we have enough respect for each other to acknowledge that and not to just ignore it and poof, disappear on each other. I think when you're very genuine and definitive about your values, a girl can really sense that and they'll really respect that as well. And if they have any ounce of humanity or maturity, they'll not ghost out on you. See what amazing things early communication can do? And communication is something we can always practice and improve on. All right, Edwin and anybody else, remember if you have any really personal, specific dating related questions, you can now ask me those on Fiverr.com. All right, with that said, you've been Singlefied. All right, for the last 10 days, I did a mini Euro trip to Norway, Iceland, and the Netherlands. Specifically, I went to Oslo, Reykjavik, and Amsterdam. Very quickly, Scandinavia is beautiful. I absolutely loved Iceland. Blue Lagoon was gorgeous and so calming and peaceful. Saw the Northern Lights, which was spectacular. And I got to eat some delicacies like puffin. And Amsterdam is like the Sin City of Europe. It's like Vegas. Anything goes. It's such a melting pot of so many different cultures and ethnicities and languages. I could totally see myself, if I didn't live in San Francisco, which I love, I'd probably move to Amsterdam.